Carolina.
As you know, Crooked Joe and the radical left thugs have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading opponent. Me, I'm their leading opponent. I'm their only opponent.
Calling the charges against him phony.
I went through a whole life. I never heard the word indictment. All of a sudden, every day, I'm getting indicted.
As he highlights a new Washington Post poll that gives him a 10-point lead in a hypothetical rematch with President Biden, though the paper has suggested its own poll is an outlier. Polls also continue to show low approval ratings for President Biden and concern about his age.
You know, they don't tell the whole story, actually. And that is just the way a poll is.
White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says the president's focus is on the American people. She also says the president's decision to visit a UAW picket line tomorrow has nothing to do with Trump's plan to speak to auto workers, also in Michigan, on Wednesday. Trump is skipping the second Republican presidential debate Wednesday night in California.
They are setting up the debate stage as we speak here at the Reagan Presidential Library. And as it stands right now, there will be 7 candidates on that stage.
Fox Business's Grady Trimble in Simi Valley. That's one fewer than the first debate, with former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson failing to make the cut this time so far.
Some of the issues taking center stage Wednesday night: immigration, education, and, of course, at the Fox Business debate, the economy, inflation.
Fox News Radio will provide special coverage of the debate beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. FoxNewsRadio.com to listen or find out more. Congress running out of time to avoid a government shutdown this weekend as House Republicans debate each other over spending cuts and a stopgap measure to buy more time. Stocks finish higher. The Dow up 43 points at the bell after a choppy session. America is listening to Fox News.
Jesse Kelly here. Do you feel protected? My personal protection plan is owning gold. The Oxford Gold Group helps you buy gold to have on hand or convert it into your 401k. If things get weird, I have gold on hand. I like that. You can buy coins or convert part of your 401k with the Oxford Gold Group. It's easy and safe. 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD. 833-995-GOLD.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez facing calls to resign over a second corruption indictment is refusing to step down.
I recognize this will be the biggest fight yet, but as I have stated throughout this whole process, I firmly believe that when all the facts are presented, not only will I be exonerated, but I still will be the New Jersey's senior senator.
The longtime Democratic lawmaker denies bribery charges and says the nearly $500,000 in cash found by federal agents was withdrawn from his personal accounts over the years. The White House says it considers the charges a serious matter, adding Menendez stepping down from his leadership role on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee for now was the right thing to do. Amazon announcing a big investment up to $4 billion in an artificial intelligence startup, Anthropic, also taking a minority stake in the company. Amazon and Anthropic say it's part of a broader collaboration to develop foundation models which underpin a wave of generative AI systems. The IRS taking a new interest in some sports and concert tickets.
So you made a killing reselling your Taylor Swift or NFL tickets on StubHub or Ticketmaster. Good for you. But now the IRS is watching. New IRS rule says ticketing platforms will be required to report sellers' proceeds of $600 or more in a year and send you a 1099-K to report on your taxes, whether or not you made a profit. The old threshold was $20,000 in revenue. But this is part of President Biden's reforms to beef up IRS tax collections. Some members of Congress trying to restore the old threshold or bump it down to $10,000 in profits. Unclear if they'll succeed in time for the 2023 tax season. Therese Crowley, Fox News.
Recapping stocks, the Dow up 43 points after being down for much of the session. The S&P and the NASDAQ also in the green. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny. Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over!
I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now. I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Smack dogs.
Thunderstruck! Yeah,
Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Kyle Tosk, and, of course, it's Monday, so we have the one and only Jay Lehman. Jay, how you doing, man?
Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go. Hey, no, I'm doing well. So glad to be on here. This is the most honest hour of college football radio, especially Illinois radio, so let's get down to it.
Got to have you on Friday, and admittedly, to get this thing started off and framed properly. We expected and hoped for a convincing feel-good win from Illinois. They got the win. They got the victory. They escaped against Florida Atlantic 23-17. It didn't come with too many feel-goods. It wasn't convincing. We'll dive into all of that. I do want to say Mondays are tough for me, Jay, because the Bears are just killing my soul.
I got to talk about the Bears real quick. I'm a Bears fan growing up. I kind of lost my Bears fanhood because I played enough of different teams. I'm like, okay, do I like the Vikings? Do I like this? That first half, it was like they were in different leagues. I mean, it was like, I know they're both NFL teams, but it was like different leagues. It was two different leagues, it looked like. That's how far superior Kansas City was on every level.
I knew that they were going to get boat raced in that game, but just hoping and praying for some level of something to grab onto, like Justin Fields to make a couple of plays. Like he says, I'm going to start playing football like I grew up playing. I'm going to take the constraints off and just kind of go out there and have fun. Well, wasn't very fun for him, for anybody watching him.
Talk about a disaster week for the Bears in general.
Right.
Okay. I mean, the resignation of their defensive coordinator, there's still some questions on what actually went on with the whole thing, right? And Adam Schefter saying there was nothing illegal done, but it was inappropriate.
Conduct,
inappropriate. I mean, we have no idea. We've got, supposedly we had addressed all these issues with the Bears, and we've addressed none.
Have addressed none. And by the way, Hallis Hall got stormed and robbed of like $100,000 worth of equipment. Did you see that last week too?
I saw that. It was a bad week to be a Bears fan.
It was tough. On the other side of the spectrum, we're going to get to Illinois real quick here, but on the other side of the spectrum, Kyle's Dolphins put up 70 points, first time in the league since like 1966. There is I can't think of another on the just completely opposites than the Bears on offense right now and what the Dolphins are doing. People are saying it's the best offense since the greatest show on turf.
I just love how, for instance, people say stuff all the time, like after 2 weeks of the season. I saw like Eric Bieniemy's got this team right. The Commanders, like he's the reason they're like top 5 in offense. Well, they were horrible yesterday, right? It's just like, so you can't say they're the greatest offense through 3 games. Right?
That's
we can't
true.
say that.
Yeah, fair enough.
We also heard everybody say Deshaun Watson sucks. Now he's horrible after the Steelers game. Guys, they lost Nick Chubb. They're 2-1, and like he was 286 with 2 touchdowns. It's like everybody is so. I just think in the era of writing people, I will say this: if you want to look at good offensive play calling and some creativity and innovation, look at the Dolphins. Kyle, I want to let you talk about the Dolphins. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have many words. Every time I looked up from my chair yesterday, they were scoring another touchdown, 70 points, 726 yards. I mean, it's incredible. I think the job that McDaniel has done with Tua, with utilizing just the insane speed. I saw a stat that the Dolphins have like the sixth top ball carrier speeds like on a single play this year from like 3 different players. It's just incredible.
Dolphins fun to watch. Bears just brutal. Illinois was a tough one for fans, especially early. You get down 10-0 unexpectedly on your home field again. Another slow start offensively. Defensively letting FAU make some plays. It corrected down the stretch to where Illinois could at least run the football. Luke Altmaier did make some plays. But it was even dicey late. Like FAU scores it to be 23-17. Of course, Caleb Griffin missed the extra point. And in the situation, the FAU could have got the ball back and took the lead to win it. It was uninspiring, Jay. What was your grand takeaway from that game?
Well, first off, we are a horrible starting team, right? You mentioned this. I mean, it's kind of like living in the Midwest and waiting for summer to hit. That's kind of like our offense, right? You're like, oh, it's almost here. It's almost here. Another snowstorm. Bam, it's almost like our offense is just not getting rolling, right? We have been, let me go through the games. Other than starting, I think we started 7-0 against Toledo.
Yes.
But other than that, we got down 19-7. We got down 21-0 versus Kansas. I think we were down 13 or 16-0, maybe 13-0 against Penn State.
Yep.
And we were down 10-0. And they just look uninspired, right? When they come out and play like that, and it's a comedy of errors. It's going for it on fourth down, we don't get it. It's penalties. It's missing field goals. It's just not good. So that's been disheartening. I would say this. I will give them a lot of credit. The end of the game, I thought the defense had some strong stops, but also that 4-minute drive. That's who we want to be as a team, right? Ability to finish off a game in the 4-minute drill, which is the opposite of the 2-minute drill. You're ahead in the game. You want to finish it out. The ability for Josh McCray, we've been hard on him a little bit. Not hard on him, but question, is he okay? To finish out in the offensive line, to finally be physical at the point of attack, finish that drive out, and then Fagan to actually get down, on the 3-yard line and run it out. It showed a lot of different pieces coming together. That was the most complete drive Illinois had as far as game situation and knowing what you had to do to win the game.
We'll dig in on a lot of these different things, but I'm glad you mentioned Caden Fagan. How tough has that got to be for a freshman who has his first career touchdown right there in front of him and just to make the right play? I
know the analytics say that you got to get down, and I guess there is a chance with, they're going to get the ball back and they could onside and then score. It's probably not likely, but as Brett said in his press conference, they had no way to win if he gets down. Right. Absolutely no way to win. And so it was the right move. That's got to be hard. He's a good-looking player. I'm surprised he had the awareness not to just walk into the end zone. I think once the guy kind of whiffed on purpose, he was like, okay, what's going on? He got down. So I think it's difficult. But I liked what I've seen out of him and Aiden Lawfrey. Aiden Lawfrey, prior to GCMS, had a good game. So I was happy to see him get some good reps.
I don't think anybody could have blamed him if he just took that one all the way across Kirby Avenue on over to the Assembly Hall and
who was it the guy for the Chiefs last year who got down like at the 1 when he could have scored? I thought I think in the Super Bowl he got down like the 1 and they did that.
Yes, right. That's right.
I can't remember. He's a backup tailback, and then there was the meme. He could have told his kids he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but he got down to the 1. All right, sorry.
Yep.
I just had that keep my mind.
Offensive line. What's up with them? I think going into the year, if you would have pinpointed what are the potential downfalls of this Illinois team, offensive line would not have been your first mention, probably not even your second mention.
Would not have been.
What are you seeing there that is contributing to this being a unit that is creating problems both in terms of quarterback pressures, but not establishing what we thought in the run game?
Well, I definitely think our left side of our offensive line played a little bit better than our right side, which is a little surprising. Julian Pearl's been solid at left tackle, I think, the whole season. Maybe not as dominant as I'd like to see him at point of attack. As far as pass blocking, he's been okay. Geske had his moments, although I think Geske took a step in the right direction. He's still getting beaten one-on-one pass coverage. I think in general, we look at Isaiah Adams and Zy Chrysler, they both feel more comfortable at guards. And although Isaiah Adams is athletic enough and smart enough to play right tackle, it's not his natural position. And it doesn't allow him to have that road grader effect that he has at the guard position. And I think that's what we're missing a bit. I think Zai has really been hurt by not getting reps in the spring, not getting reps in the fall. He's still kind of getting a feel. We're just not very good in one-on-one pass rush. We're looking a little confused in our pass coverage stuff. And part of it, though, I will say, is Luke Altmaier, the first 3 games, was just throwing the ball away, trying to get the ball out, led to 7 picks, right? Mm-hmm. This game, he held on to the ball a little bit more, created, like on the Griffin Moore play, he did create and did some of that stuff, but he also held the ball on, like that sack fumble was borderline Luke Altmaier. I mean, Isaiah Adams made the defensive end run the hump, meaning he went all the way past the quarterback and throw around, and Altmaier hitched 3 or 4 times, partially because they didn't want to throw picks, but you can't fumble as well. So part of it was Altmaier held on to the ball longer. The other part was, hey, we weren't protecting that well. I will say early on in the run game, we were not getting the push that I wanted to see. I think later in the game, we warmed down a little bit. Josh McCray got rolling.
How fixable is Zy Chrysler? Adams now playing a little bit of out of position at tackle. What do you think is the possible progress here, and what is just going to be a reality of an offensive line that isn't what we've seen the last couple of years potentially?
So good question. I mean, Zy Chrysler played well last year. I mean, he had, I think, honorable mention All Big Ten. He played well. It's there. I think it's just getting him reps this year and letting him get his confidence, his health back. I don't know if we have anybody else behind him. I mean, Jordan Slaughter's kind of been the super sub for about 2 years. I want to say that Josh Cruz has been pretty solid for being a first year playing, and he's been solid at the point of attack, but I just haven't seen us on our counter plays, on some of our powers that we like to run. We have not been getting the push we need, and we've been getting stymied at the front and pushed back a lot. I don't know what the solution is. I know Whiteneck came in, Barliv's played a little bit. I don't know if we have the depth there as other positions. And so I'm concerned that maybe these are our best guys right now. Brett mentioned he's going to get some guys in there to kind of press and maybe give press for playing time, maybe give some chances, but we shall see.
You mentioned Luke Altmaier a little earlier there. Obviously, he was the guy kind of in the spotlight all week long after the Penn State game, and he played pretty well, 303 yards, a touchdown, his first start as an Illini without a pick. What do you see from him and his response?
Well, first off, anytime we have 300 yards for an Illinois quarterback, it's a good day. I mean, we got a lot of days where we've never had 300 yards, so that's a good day if you watch Illinois sports as long as I've watched it. I think this with Altmaier, he took care of the football. He extended some plays. That first that reverse flea flicker, it wasn't supposed to go to Griffin Moore. It was supposed to go to Battle, I think, over the middle. He had to sidestep because the protection wasn't there, bought some time, hit Griffin in stride, tip Ryman on a deep ball, and he had a jump ball for Isaiah Williams, gave Isaiah Williams a chance. Isaiah climbed the ladder, made a big play for a 45-yard catch. Those are some of the vertical attacks. I would still like to see some more of the RPO we saw at UTSN or Barry Lunny. They hammered us with the RPO, right? I don't remember seeing that very often. We've run it a little bit to Casey Washington some. We haven't run it a ton. I think we hit more RPO up. I'd like to see some bootleg action with Altmaier. Get him out of the pocket. We're struggling to protect. Sprint out, bootleg, 1-2-man routes. What's frustrating to me is we had a lot of 7-man protection, meaning a tight end stays in and a back stays in along with a 5 lineman, and we still weren't protected. That's worrisome to me, and we've got to get better up front. But I think Luke Altmaier took a step in the right direction. I mean, he bounced back in a big way from what his game was. I still think he's a better quarterback than we've had. Maybe not better than Tommy, not as experienced as Tommy, but he's certainly above average what we've seen the last decade for Illinois football.
Hits a couple of those deep ones to Isaiah. He probably has close to 400 yards.
Sure. Yeah, he missed some balls, right? Isaiah Williams, he's a phenomenal player, leading the Big Ten in receptions. I think he's just behind Marvin Harrison in yards, but 24 receptions through, I mean, how are you going to ask for more production of a receiver? There's nobody else out there, right?
And a big-time contested catch, too. That's one thing we've wondered about him.
We want to know if he could get that and if he could catch those contested balls. I've seen it on the slant route some, a little bit, but a lot of times we're trying to get him a free release by putting him in motion or putting him in the slot, but he did go up and climb the ladder for that card at the high point. I think he's a guy that is their leader, and as Brett Bielema said in his press conference, if Isaiah plays well, we play well. Kind of energizes the whole team.
As you look defensively, they were able to buckle down at times, but spotting FAU 10 points. You didn't get help from the offense, but things looked a little too easy early. What do you think led to that?
Okay, good question. One, I think we got to give them credit for those 3 stops, I believe, that were inside the 25-yard line, later in the game. They also had, I believe, they stopped FAU inside the 15. We had a turnover from Hank Beatty, and then they stopped FAU again for 4 plays. I don't think they got any points. So it was like 8 plays inside the 15, and Brett Beal mentioned it. That's impressive. I want to give them credit for really saving the game in that regard. We saw the Illinois defense do that a lot last year, and as far as they calling the fire department, putting out fires, and they did a job putting out fires. I think initially we could not cover number 1, Wester. We had issues covering number 1. Xavier Scott had tough duty all day. I think Xavier's going to be a football player. I think he's an NFL player in 2 or 3 years. We've also can't seem to keep Taz or Tyler Strain healthy for the entire game. They don't seem to be out for long term, but they're out. Now, Zach Tobey came in, showed some good things, had 3 pass breakups, has unique length, and they tested him a couple times. So I like what we saw there. I like what I saw from is it Sabor Kareem? I got their name.
Sabor Kareem.
Okay, yeah, I think he made a really instinctive play on it. I think the linebackers, we saw some more James Kreutz. We saw some more Otaluga as well in there. A little bit less on Tariq. But overall, I thought they played solid. But initially, we simply couldn't get off the field with Wester, and that's concerning. Let's remember, this is a team that didn't have their starting quarterback in Casey Thompson. I think if Casey Thompson plays, are we talking about a loss? Quite possibly. Yeah. We won't go there. We don't have our first Power 5 win yet, but I will say our Power 5 losses look pretty good, especially the dismantling of Iowa against Penn State in the whiteout game, which was a disaster. Kyle, what's up?
You mentioned the younger guys with Tobey and Kareem. How important can getting that experience be for them? Because this wasn't a situation where they put them in there. Illinois is up 35.
Sure.
These guys are going to get some garbage time reps. They were involved in some really key plays in the game. What can that experience do for those guys?
I think we saw that with Matthew Bailey. He had some good experience last year. Unfortunately, Bailey gets hurt after about 1 quarter of playing. We're going to have some of the deepest defensive backfield as we have with reps. But right now, none of them are really experienced other than Taz. I think Taz has some great experience. We haven't been able to keep him on the field. So I think it's going to be good on the back end. But as far as why we weren't great, I think Keith Randolph had made some plays and probably played his best game. He's been an active guy. We're not really getting the negative plays we usually get or the turnovers we got last year. I mean, we just destroyed the turnover margin last year. We're not destroying the margin right now. In fact, we're struggling with the turnover margin, and that's hurting the offense because we're not setting up the offense with some of these short fields that we had last year. And we're just not as good at the point of attack as we have been, other than Johnny Newton, who they did some different things, according to Brett Bielema, to kind of negate Johnny Newton. But it opened up guys like Gabe Akis, who had a chance, Keith Randolph to have a big game. And so we're just not as physical as up front as I like to see.
Jay, one more before we get to your sponsors and catch our first break. I think a lot of us expected going into today's show, we just have so much to choose from in terms of reference points of what looked better versus what we've seen for 3 weeks. And we'd have to maybe calibrate it down a little bit or just try to figure out, all right, how much does this translate into Purdue? The fact that you're a 15-point home favorite and you win by 6, and you really have underachieved individually in probably every game so far. Where should fans be at? Where are you at in terms of just the expectations going forward and what you think this team can still do?
So that's a great question because I think all our expectations were lower and then they went sky high last year. And now they kind of stayed higher and elevated. So then we're here where, we won 6 games last year and we didn't have a chance to win the West. And we went to some okay bowl game. We went to a New Year's Day bowl game and we played an SEC school and we're right there with them to the very end. And a lot of people coming back. We lost a lot of people too. But so I think our expectations are a good thing, but they haven't necessarily been met. This team has not played a complete game at all. Offensively, defensive, special teams, it has not played their best football. And I think I'm not so upset that we're 2-2. It's the way it's looked at 2-2, right? I think we knew we could easily be 2-2. If there are such things as a good loss, Kansas and Penn State are good losses, right? So based on what we see, but I would say this: going forward, the benefit is the West is garbage. I mean, it really is. I don't know what to say.
Really bad, man.
The West is bad. Oh. I mean, it's bad ball. Nebraska's played some bad ball. Minnesota lost to a bad Northwest. That might be the worst loss in PJ Fleck's tenure. Even Bowling Green doesn't beat that one. That was a bad loss to Northwestern. Purdue, I thought, was going to be better. With
they can't
Hudson
stop
Card.
anybody.
They cannot stop anything. They can't stop quarterback run. Can't do any of that. Northwestern, we've mentioned. Iowa probably had the worst offensive output I've seen ever from a Big Ten team. So, can we win the West? Yes, we can win the West. Wisconsin looked a little bit better, but we're going to find out a lot about ourselves because now we've seen what Iowa and Penn State did. We've seen what Purdue did against Wisconsin. And these are teams that really know each other when we come to Purdue. We can talk about that. But as far as what my expectations are moving forward, I think we're a 6 or 7 win team. I said at the beginning of the year, we could be a 5-win team or a 10-win team. I've shortened that down to 6 or 7. I think we could win any game on our schedule. Maryland's probably the most potent offense we're going to see moving forward, but we're not getting the turnovers we need. We've been inconsistent with our line play up front, and our defenses have not been as dominant as we would have liked it to be. So I don't think it's this season's over. I think it's more like, man, it doesn't look the way we thought it was going to look with the Brett Bielema coach team.
That's well said. As we go along, I do want to hit in and maybe dig in a little bit deeper. Obviously on Purdue, who's coming up this Saturday, but just the rest of the schedule in general, kind of setting expectations. Okay, this is what we've seen from Nebraska, like you said, Wisconsin. Wisconsin did show some things there in that game against Purdue. The Big Ten West, not so good, but the sponsors we have for this show are fantastic.
Oh, I like that transition. Iroquois Federal is your one-stop shop. They're our title sponsor, guys. You got to check them out at the Crossing in Champaign or in Savoy by Savoy 16, right off of Neal Street. You got to check out Iroquois Federal for all your home loan and business and commercial loan needs. That's Mark McHale, Bob Guido, Ryan Lowry, Brenda Crane for your consumer loans. If you need a commercial line of credit, Iroquois Federal is your place to go. Bob Guido has helped me with a ton of my own loans, and he will help you if you're looking to buy a rental property or need a business loan. If you need insurance, because if you're getting a loan, you need insurance, talk to Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis at IPGINS.com. Auto, home, life, habitational for all your rental properties. Kyle Lewis is a one-stop insurance shop. You got to go there. And Long Branch Steakhouse, we got Donnie in the house. I love the fried pickles, Donnie. I wanted the tomahawk ribeye, but they go so fast. You got to make sure you get in there on Wednesday and Thursday to make sure you get the tomahawk ribeye. No? Only when he has them. No, I'm saying when he makes a post, Donnie. I was saying when you make a post, say you got to get in there ASAP. I know you don't have it Wednesday and Thursday, every Wednesday and Thursday, but I love the fried pickles, love the onion rings. You got to make it over to Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown Eclectic Gifford.
If you want to win, you can. 217-359-2255. I know plenty have already hit up the text line. If you got a question for Jay, let us know. Fire one in, 217-359-2255. And also, while we talked about calibrating expectations, what say you as far as the win total for this team, what you foresee throughout the rest of the schedule? We'll dive in deeper on Illinois and Purdue coming up this Saturday and thoughts around the Big Ten as well. Ohio State and Notre Dame, what a thriller that was. Got to get Jay's thoughts on that before we get out of here. We got to catch a break. We'll be back with Jay Lehman when we return. This is The Drive.
Habitat for Humanity of Champaign County has been bringing people together to build homes, communities, and hope since 1991. To date, Habitat of Champaign has built 118 homes, but the need for safe, decent, and affordable housing is greater than ever. When you donate your time or money to Habitat or make a purchase from the Habitat Restore, you are empowering local families and helping them achieve the strength, stability, and self-reliance they need to build a bright future for themselves. For more information about Habitat for Humanity of Champaign, please visit CUHabitat.org.
Illini fans, for a limited time at Jets Pizza, new popcorn chicken pizzas. They're tasty popcorn chicken on their famous BBQ, Aloha BBQ, Buffalo Ranch, or Bacon Ranch pizzas. It's new and a limited time offer, so don't miss out. Try any of the 4 for just $17.99. Code BBQ. Their popcorn chicken pizzas are perfect to order while watching football with friends and family. Try their tasty popcorn chicken on their famous BBQ, Aloha BBQ, Buffalo Ranch, or Bacon Ranch pizzas. Just $17.99. Code BBQ. Jets, better because it has to be.
When you make the right decision, it feels good, like picking the perfect accent rug or choosing a good night's sleep over an all-night crime show binge. It feels really good to make the right insurance decision, too. That's why State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow is right here in Champaign-Urbana to help you select the right protection at the right price. Kurt will make sure you understand your State Farm coverages so you'll know what to expect if the unexpected happens. Just call him when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. Take a look around your home. Is it finally ready for some much-needed updates? If you don't know where to start, then just meet with one of our experts. We'll help you find the perfect waterproof plank floor for your kitchen or that stain-resistant, super soft carpet for your bedroom. Finish your room update with a custom sofa and chairs, or choose a trendy in-stock dining set that's priced right. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
The best steaks in Central Illinois belong to one institution, and that's the Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown eclectic Gifford. I'm Jay Lehman. I'm a regular at Long Branch Steakhouse. I take my wife. I take my kids. I love the fried pickles, fried mushrooms, the onion rings, and of course, the steaks. The ribeye is my personal favorite. Open Wednesday through Saturday from 5 to 9. Tell Donnie Jay Lehman sent you. Don't forget the mac and cheese. Open Wednesday through Saturday from 5 to 9 in downtown Gifford.
PDR Automotive has now been serving the Champaign-Urbana area for over 50 years. To give you some perspective, 50 years ago ended the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, and it was when Secretariat won the Triple Crown. So what does that mean for you and your vehicle? Whether you need a carburetor overhauled or your new vehicle computer system diagnosed or programmed, PDR Automotive has the experienced, knowledgeable staff that can handle all your automotive needs. Online at pdrauto.com, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg, Cats Lon Tay, and Derek Piper, weekdays from 4 to 6, right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
We'll get back to picking Jay Lehman's brain here shortly, but first let me tell you about Busey. All you need is love and financial intimacy before you walk down the aisle. Busey suggests setting a solid financial footing. Will you and your spouse-to-be keep finances separate or combined? Consider individual spending and saving habits. Making decisions together will help you find a system that works. Couples that tackle money problems together will find their relationship is better for it. Share credit. Let your spouse-to-be know your credit situation and vice versa. Cupid's Arrow is something that is a plan to shoot down existing debt. Yeah, I was going to say... I stumbled on that one, Jay. Sometimes you have a little false start and just keep on going. Starting with the balances to carry the highest interest rates. Set goals and be diligent in reaching them. Sweet savings. Decide how much you want to save as a couple and withdraw the funds automatically from your paycheck. Busey can help you set a plan that is right for you no matter your circumstance or financial situation. Visit Busey.com or stop by one of their convenient locations today. Busey, member FDIC. Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. It's the Jay Lehman Hour. Talking Illinois football, coming off a 23-17 survival against FAU. Now you go full steam ahead into the Big Ten schedule. Purdue on the slate in West Lafayette coming up for the Cannon, Jay. Purdue's defense, it's brutal. Their offense can hum like it did in that comeback a little bit there on Friday against Wisconsin. But what do you think about Ryan Walters and what his team has shown so far as we look ahead to that game on Saturday?
I think Hudson Card's a bona fide quarterback. He can throw the rock. Deion Burks is probably the most speed we're going to see at receiver so far. He's a legitimate deep threat. Yassine is a decent player as well. Sheffield, we played against Sheffield before. They've got some skill guys. They have struggled on the offensive line. Hello, welcome to the club. Crazy legs, Devin Mockabee looks to be replaced by Tyrone Tracy. He's got more reps than him. So that's what I see offensively. They can score points. And they can score it in a hurry with Graham Harrell's air raid. He's the offensive coordinator. Defensively, it looks a lot like the defense we saw when Ryan Walters first got here.
Right.
I mean, guys wide open, struggling to play man coverage, no contain on the quarterback at all. Garrett Schrader ran for $195 and 4 TDs with Syracuse, and then Tanner Mordecai had 50 yards rushing almost and a TD for Wisconsin. So they've really struggled to contain the quarterback. I think Luke Altmaier can have a chance to run the football a little bit. I want to see more sprint outs and bootlegs, more design roll to help with our protection. But as far as their defense goes, they don't have a George Karlaftis, on that football team that can be a game wrecker. This is a game that Purdue thinks they should win and that Illinois thinks they should win. It's every year. We want Purdue. We should beat Purdue. They think they should beat us. Purdue has not had that much success, though, against certain pros. I saw they lost 17 in a row to Wisconsin. So, Brett Bielema must have had a pretty good run there against Purdue.
No doubt.
So let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to the game.
That was like a Wisconsin against Illinois basketball for a while. They had won 15 in a row, but 17 in a row were the Boilers. Wow, that's something crazy. It does feel like a situation, Jay, where one of these teams, the team that wins is going to convince itself that it can salvage its season and go on a little bit of a run and make some noise in the Big Ten West. The team that loses is probably going to say basketball can't get here soon enough.
Oh, that is a really good thing to actually say. I always joke because, when I was playing my first 4 years at Illinois, Lauren Tate would watch the first 3 or 4 weeks of football season. And then I was like, we're 1-3. Okay, time to talk hoops. And when I played at Illinois, we had really good basketball teams. I mean, probably the best ever at Illinois. I mean, that's argument. You can argue that, but a really good team, that 04-05 team. And so I think you're exactly right. They have a little bit tougher schedule with their crossovers than we do, as far as I believe they play one of Ohio State or Michigan. I think Purdue does in one of their crossovers. And so they've got a little bit tougher schedule, but this is definitely a line in the sand game. They've got 3 losses already. So if they lose this, they're 1-4, and they lost to Illinois, a team they think they should beat, and pretty much puts them out of any kind of bowl game unless they switch something really, really quick. So it's not easy being a first-year head coach, and Ryan Walters is learning that really quick. I think Ryan's going to fix that defense over time, but it's going to take some time.
How much you think the familiarity factor is going to play a role in this game with Walters going over some of the other coaches? Obviously, he worked hand in hand with Aaron Henry last year and knows the defense. You think that is going to show on Saturday?
So all these coaches have been in the same room with each other. I mean, Aaron Henry was basically discipled by Ryan Walters, and Barry Lunny was in the same room, going every day against Ryan Walters as well. I think everyone knows familiarity schematically, but I think Purdue has the familiarity of like, hey, we were at practice with all of these players that Illinois has. This is where they're weak. This is where they're not weak. We're like an Illinois staff doesn't necessarily have that, right? They haven't been at the practice with Purdue. They don't know. So I think there's a little bit more of a familiar edge with Purdue, but I also think you're having a first-year head coach going against a guy who helped you get your head coaching job, who's got multiple years as a head coach, and probably knows a few things to pull on a first-year head coach or the way that Ryan Walters thinks. So I think those kind of even out, but there are teams that are very familiar. I don't think you're going to trick anybody in this game with what you're doing. It's going to come down to who can block and tackle better, which is a totally unsexy answer, but the answer for a game like this.
Through the first 5 opponents, other than Kansas, Purdue's probably the most dynamic passing attack that you're going to see. And we know that Illinois had big-time issues. As far as, Lance Leipold, the creativity offensively, They got a lot of weapons. Probably not on the same level. I know they're not in terms of what Purdue is working with right now, but how much should Illinois fear what Hudson Card and company can accomplish through the year?
Yeah, I mean, they've gotten a real ability to create explosive plays. I mean, we gave up, I believe it was 20 pass plays of 10 yards or more or something against Kansas. I mean, it was something insane. And this could happen, right? So I want to make also, so we got to be careful. I think their pass game and Maryland's pass game will probably be the most advanced pass game. That doesn't mean that they're the best offense, but just most advanced pass game. So they're going to test our defense. We got to keep Taz healthy. Got to keep Tyler Strain healthy. We've had kind of a platoon operation back there. I want to get Big Def in here. Big Def says this about the coaching staff. He said, Jay, Purdue's coaching staff and analysts who had nearly a combined decade of practically up-to-date experience in our plays, wrinkles, tendencies, even down to the wire. Does that worry you more than usual longtime division rivals coming in? That's a great question, Big Def. We always appreciate you. You're a regular on the text line, and so I'm going to go jump back to that question that Derek said. Yeah, I mean, it concerns me a little bit, but I think we also know Ryan Walters' tendencies, like I said, and I guarantee you they're going to have a wrinkle in there that looks just like everything you've seen, and it's just a little bit different. So, but great question. We've had some great texts in here. Bill from Troy said, Illinois football, hoping to be the smartest kid on the short bus. Not sure that was a kind text, but thank you for the text. We got another text here. Would be disappointed with less than 7-5. We have a talent and coaching advantage in most of our remaining games. Get the O-line to figure it out, and let's win the West. Get some positivity there. So, anyway, I love the text messages. Just keep them going.
We've talked about slow starts to Illinois offensively. And you also brought up a good point, the quarterback run. Do you think that that's something that Barry Lunney looks at and says, we got to have maybe a little bit of design in there a little bit more this week, knowing that it's been a kryptonite for Purdue's defense and that Luke can do that? And also, they might need something to maybe spark plug this offense early. Maybe it is Luke with his feet a little bit.
I think the quarterback run has to be part of the game plan. If the team has struggled with it 3 out of the 4 games they played, they didn't struggle with it that much against Va-Tech, but they've struggled with the quarterback run. You've got to attack that. The reason they're struggling with it is Ryan Walters wants to play man-to-man. When I play man-to-man, my eyes are on my man and not on the quarterback. And if I don't have a baller D-line that can't contain the quarterback, there's going to be issues. What I liked what Syracuse did, and I think Schrader was the guy that beat out Tommy DeVito because Garrett Schrader could run a little bit better at Syracuse. What I like what they did is they had some planned runs where they really, really schemed up that Purdue defense, and it led to some big plays, even some option in there, some nakeds. So it was good to see that, but I think Illinois is going to throw that in there.
You look at, as far as the other running game and the rest of the running game with Illinois, you got Reggie Love, 85 yards on 12 carries on Saturday against FAU. Josh McCray looked better, 73 yards, 14 carries. He got going there in the second half. How encouraging was that? And Reggie obviously broke a big one, got caught down the field, but are you more encouraged about their ability to produce and be more consistent in the run game after, especially the second half on Saturday?
Yeah, so great question. I don't think any of these guys is Chase Brown. It's the truth. No. I mean, we don't have an elite tailback on this team. We don't have a go-to guy, and that is what it is. I don't think we have a guy that is, a Braylon Allen type, or even a Ches Malusi before he got hurt in the game. I don't think we have that guy. We don't have a Blake Corum. We have a committee of running backs. I think Reggie's the most solid. He doesn't strike fear into anybody, but I think he's solid and can make plays. I think he's very dependable. Josh is a guy that gets better as the game goes on. Somebody mentioned that it was a lack of proper play calling. Maybe it was Big Def talking about that. I can't remember if it was Big Def or somebody. Somebody texted in and said, hey, I think McCray didn't have the right plays. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I do think that he had an opportunity a couple times. Like I saw him run east and west and actually get the corner this time in the game. So I think he's playing well. I think him and Caden Fagan are still going to battle for spots. I think as Caden Fagan continues to progress, I think he's got a little bit more acceleration. He's got a skill set that maybe McCray doesn't have as far as getting out of the hole, but McCray actually caught the ball well too. And then Aiden Lawfrey, who had a little juice to him as well, got a great run down to the goal line and finished with the touchdown. I think all of those are kind of playing into it. I don't know if we would have seen Jordan Anderson or not by this time. He got banged up, obviously blew out his knee and earlier this season. So I'm not overly impressed with the backs. I'm not overly impressed with the offensive line. I think we're all pretty average right now and underperforming in the run game, and I think they realize that.
Andy on the U of I Line League text line, do you think Lunney will actually put those runs in for Luke, or will it be same old, even though he is moving down the field?
Yeah, I think we will see a couple runs for Luke that are planned, whether that be zone read, whether that be quarterback draw. Luke's going to run a little bit as it is. I'd like to see boots. I'd like to see, whenever you're having trouble protecting a quarterback, you've got to move the pocket. So you got to do boots. You got to do sprint outs. You got to max protect. I think we're going to see, if we could ever get the run game going, we could actually do a little play action and take some deep shots and max protect. So what I mean by max protect, we're going to keep 2 tight ends in and 1 running back, and we're going to block with 8, your 5-6 rushers, and we're going to see if 1 or 2 guys can get open. I want to see that, but I do think we'll have some more planned runs. If he doesn't have them in there, I'd be really surprised.
One more on Purdue before I kind of zoom out a little bit more. You mentioned defensively very similar in the 2021 Illinois defense, like getting torched in the first handful of weeks, but there was a turnaround there. But then in hindsight, you're like, okay, they had some dudes. Like Witherspoon was part of that team. You had a number of guys that Sid Brown, obviously. Does Purdue just not have the dudes? Will they have a flip of a switch? Can that happen for them? I know it's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ryan Walters is a good football coach. I mean, I think it was the Purdue game 2 years ago that we saw the defense play against the Jeff Brom team at Purdue. We're like, the defense actually played kind of solid that day. That's kind of what Josh McCray had a big day, but the defense. Was
that the Brandon Peters throw 3 out of the back of the end zone?
Correct.
Before had a chance to win it. Yeah.
Yes, correct. We had some issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Ryan Walters is not only a great defensive coordinator, I think he's a good defensive backs coach. Like, I think he's going to develop guys. Is he going to have a top 5 draft pick? No, he's probably not going to have that. That's kind of a rarity. But I think they're going to get better. I don't see them getting better good enough this year to go to a bowl game. Mm-hmm. I think they're a 4-win team. I don't see them beating a ton of teams just the way they're playing defense right now. They couldn't improve, though.
One more question before we catch a break. As you zoom out, you look at this stretch that's ahead. You look at the fact that you have Purdue on the road, Nebraska at home on a Friday night, and after that, is it Maryland or is it Wisconsin right after that?
I think it's Maryland, then Wisconsin.
Maryland, then Wisconsin. Maryland, obviously, on the road is pretty tough, but a win. What would a win do? What could possibly happen for Illinois with Purdue, a very winnable game, and then obviously Nebraska? You would hope that that's one that you could take care of.
This is a huge 2-week span. I mean, when I'm sitting here from 2 weeks around, we're going to know a lot about this team. Because if you don't beat Purdue and you don't beat Nebraska, you're 2-4, and it's like, ugh, who are we going to beat?
Yeah.
Right? But if we talked about this going into these 3 games, right? Like we talked about this on Friday with FAU. We got one of them down. Nebraska's not good. Heinrich Harburger's their quarterback, and all they do is run like old school option. They don't throw the ball. They got some big old tight ends that eat a lot of corn, and that's about it. I mean that when I watched them, they're not that good. Purdue has not been that good. These are teams that in year 3 of Brett Bielema being established as a program, we need to beat these first-year teams like Purdue and Nebraska, first-year head coaches. They're in a lot of transition. They're building their program up. They're not ready-made. We've got more depth. We've got more questions answered. We should beat these teams. I don't even know what the line is at Illinois-Purdue.
I think it's Purdue by 1 or 1.5.
I mean, it should be pretty darn even, right? Pretty toss-up. But Brett knows that they should beat these teams. You look at the film, they should beat Purdue. You look at the film, they should beat Nebraska. If we don't beat them, it's because we played badly. We played poorly. We're better than these football teams.
Before we catch this break, tell us again about the great sponsors, Jay.
Yeah, Iroquois Federal, our title sponsor for all of your lending needs. You got a home loan, you got a business loan, you got a commercial line of credit. You need to talk to Bob Guido at Iroquois Federal, Mark McHale, Ryan Lowry, Brenda Crane. Those people will help you get the loan that you need. If you need a line of credit for your business, call Iroquois Federal. They're located at South Neal in Savoy, and also at the crossing right off of Windsor and Duncan in Champaign. Iroquois Federal. Kyle Lewis, you got to email Kyle at ipgins.com. That's Kyle at ipgins.com. Say you want the Jay Lehman rate. You've heard about the Rogers rate for these other companies that may or may not be popular, like the Rogers rate or the Mahomes rate. You know, you want the Kyle.
Where's the Tua rate?
You want the Jay Lehman rate for Kyle at ipgins.com. So hit up Kyle for all your insurance needs, auto, home, life, habitational, and of course, Long Branch Steakhouse. Donnie, what should I say about Long Branch Steakhouse? Donnie's here with me right now. Donnie, what's going on this week? Steak Oscars. What's the Steak Oscar? Filet, crab meat, and you said Barrondaise? Barrondaise sauce, guys.
I saw a picture and my mouth almost hit the floor.
It looks amazing. If you haven't had it, you're missing out. They're going upscale over there at Long Branch. They're really coming up. I mean, Barrondaise sauce, watch out.
The scale's going to go up if you go over there, but I'm not mad about it.
Guys, still the best bargain for your buck, though. I'm not going to mention any other steakhouses around there, but you get full there. My kids love it. You got to check it out.
Going to catch one more break. We've got another segment with Jay. Hit us up, 217-359-2255. Any last questions for our guy? We're very obviously blessed to have him in here, so take advantage of it. We'll be back. This is The Drive.
These days, it seems like bank names are changing faster than a forecast in February. But at Iroquois Federal, we're still the same community bank we've always been. For more than 135 years, we've built relationships by helping build the things that matter, whether it's a business, a back porch, or the building blocks of a better life. If you're looking for a bank that's here for the long haul, swing by today and see for yourself why different rules. Iroquois Federal, still friendly, still local, still here.
The Blossom Basket Florist has been in business since 1954. In the last 25 years, the Blossom Basket Florist has processed over 535,000 orders. That's 21,400 orders per year. With that type of volume, they know they have satisfied customers who just keep coming back. Find out why their customers love their designs and customer service. From simple to simply magnificent, they can design for any type of event. Visit them at 1002 North Cunningham and Urbana or online at blossombasket.com.
A tradition of excellence over 150 years in the making. At Busey Bank, we're committed to building relationships that span generations. Wherever your journey in life leads you, we are with you along the way, creating a legacy for you and your family. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Everybody needs insurance, and that's why I love Kyle Lewis at Insurance Providers Group. This is Jay Lehman, All-American linebacker. Kyle provides auto, life, health, and all kinds of commercial lines of insurance. They are my one-stop shop for all my insurance needs, and all my rental properties are insured by IPG. That's why you need to email Kyle at IPGINS.com. Kyle at IPGINS.com.
You've changed thousands of diapers, played hours of peekaboo and duck duck goose because you do anything for your kids. That's why it's so important to protect them with life insurance from State Farm. State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow will help make it easy and affordable to help you protect your family no matter what the future holds. Because for the people you do anything for, life insurance could mean everything. Call State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow in Champaign-Urbana today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday morning 7 to 9, here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
We asked and the text line delivered on the U of I Line Only text line. Hit us up, 217-359-2255. Let's start with this because I'm curious myself. 217 Jay says my wife wants to know what happened to the Golden Boy locks that used to flow from out underneath the back of your helmet.
Well, I'm glad your wife's asking. No, I'm kidding with you. I'm just giving you a hard time. But hey, you know, when you when I got married, my wife's like, listen, it just didn't look great after a while. After I got done playing football, it wasn't coming on the back of my helmet, which was the cool thing. I was one of the first to grow my hair out long. A.J. Hawk actually copied me back in the day. If you remember the 2000 linebackers, yes. He wouldn't say that. But I would say yes. I as I got domesticated, it's gotten shorter and shorter, and now I'm back to a high fade. We also got 319 with another question here. Lenny's play calling, Jay, to this point. What have you thought about it? Why doesn't it look more like the quick hitting RPO scheme that shredded us with UTSA? Seems a good option to a struggling line. That's actually a really good point. I have not seen the RPO used nearly as much. I don't know if we just don't have the quarterback or the receivers, but it does seem like a good option. I thought the play calling, he did a better job of the play calling last game. Got the ball to Isaiah Williams, had some creativity with some deep downfield throws. But I will say that I think it maybe lacked a little bit the first 2 or 3 games on the creativity because we were so far behind. Like we've been behind and we have been playing catch up, and that's not what you want to do. Okay.
If I close my, sorry to interrupt you, Jay. If I close my eyes, I can still see Zachary Franklin on that RPO slant.
You're talking about a bad defense.
Yeah.
They were getting banged on that.
Could Isaiah be that guy?
I don't think he's big enough to do that all the time. Usually they run the RPO to Casey because he's big enough because you have to have a body that can shield the defensive back from coming through behind you. Malik Elzy will be the guy for it. He had the 2 drops.
Yes.
I know he was discouraged about that. Fans were discouraged about it. He'll be better, but he really has the body that you want for an RPO because you've got to be able to fight through that and have the size.
Big Def, if you look at Luke's ability on film with his legs, I bet zone read and RPO out of the 20 personnel we showed for a couple of plays would feel to opponents like defending a triple option.
Well, Big Def knows his football. 20 personnel is 2 backs, no tight ends, and 3 receivers. And, you know, red zone and RPO, zone read and RPO, I think he's done pretty good at the zone read when he's pulled it when he's need to. The RPO, we haven't seen a ton of it. What I think I want to see, though, is in critical situations and in the red zone and third down, you've seen Luke Altmaier make some plays. I think we'll continue to see that because that's what you really have to be alert. When stuff breaks down, there is no option to throw it away because it's third down or you're in the red zone. He's going to run the football. We could see more of that being developed.
I just had a flashback to your 2007 team. It's kind of a little bit off the wall, but speaking of the zone read, how tough, I'm imagining like through camp you probably did ones versus ones at times. How tough was it, if so, to defend that Juice reads to Richard, and if he pulls it, him and Aurelius Ben are coming out on a speed option?
Right. Now, first of all, you had some thoroughbreds right there running it for you.
Yeah.
And the only thing what people realize is the zone read was done minimally a little bit in the 90s in Florida State. Really, it was Rich Rod. You got to give him credit. What he did at West Virginia, very innovative. The reason people thought Rich Rod was a phenomenal coach is nobody else had done it. He had kind of developed the zone read, and then people kind of caught up. So every coaching job he's been to later, he hasn't necessarily won like he did at West Virginia.
Right.
But what they did with Steve Slayton and Pat White, if you'll remember, is it looks exactly the same every play, and you've got to be super disciplined like option football. And what I give credit with Mike Loxley said, if you don't, it would freeze you when you're playing against that team against Illinois. We would scrimmage against them. If you don't come downhill and hit Rashard Mendenhall in the hole, he's got a full head of steam. He's going to get 3 or 4 yards and run through you. The same with Juice. But the problem was you could never commit to it because you didn't know who was going to give the ball to. And then at times they would pitch it to Aurelius, who was actually a really good runner as well. So we had like 4 plays, option, zone read pitch, throw to Aurelius Ben, throw to a tight end every once in a while, Jeff Cumberland, and that was about it.
It worked.
Right? Daniel Dufresne, God rest his soul, was actually a really good backup tailback, had a big day against Ohio State. People don't think about that either. Sometimes we would put Dufresne in there with Rashard Mendenhall and then put in the slot Aurelius Ben. And then you could run the option with the option pass, which was really difficult. So you would fake it to either Dufresne or Rashard. Juice could keep it, pitch it, or RPO it on the option pass and just step back and wing it to Aurelius.
I wish I thought of this earlier, Jay, because so that play was in the NCAA football game. You could do the motion Aurelius out of the slot, come into the backfield, and run that triple option, which was very fun to use. On that note, there's been a lot of conversation about starting up another NCAA football game and whether people would want to play for, what is it, $200, Kyle, or I don't know what the amount is, but
it was $500.
$500. How easy of a conversation would that be?
$500 for what?
To be in the game.
In it.
Okay.
Like your likeness.
Okay.
Would you take the $500?
Or
would you negotiate?
Well, let's just say this. In the 2003-2004 game, I was like the lowest rating I've ever seen of any player I've ever seen. I think I was a 42 or something like that. I think my awareness was like 60 and my speeds were in the 30 or something like that. The awareness is just kind of try hard, smart guy, right? Whatever they call it, whatever the awareness experience factor is. I think you take what you can get in college. If you're not very good, sure, I'll take $500. As a senior, when I was actually pretty good, I would probably negotiate that. But $500 back then was a lot of money. A lot of money. I would have scooped that up in a heartbeat. A lot of these guys aren't making money either.
Right. I know it's easy for us on the outside to sit there and say, why wouldn't any player out there want to be in the game? As someone that's actually been a player and as a senior, you were a senior All-American linebacker. Like Caleb Williams, is his value more so to that game than the backup quarterback somewhere else? Absolutely. Just
100%.
Do you think that most players, like when you were on the team, were just happy to be in the game?
100%. If I just saw my number on there, and even though my ratings were garbage, I was still happy that I was
There's
in
an
there.
edit button. You can up the speed. All of a sudden, Jay Lehman's like a 92.
Could you even edit guys back in the day?
Maybe not.
What was the basketball game that Jordan was never in? NBA Jam. Or there's a couple games that he was not in.
It was just like player 23 or something.
I just remember being so bummed. Like, you're just like, oh, man. So obviously he held out for some reason, and rightfully so, right? So
Barry Bonds was named like John Dowd in Triple Play Baseball or something.
Triple Play. There was Ken Griffey Jr.'s Major League Baseball too. That was good, but I think they had names on there. I was Juan Gonzalez for Texans. He was like huge in the game. He was like just yoked out of his mind. Him and Jose Canseco.
That's right.
That was before all the roid stuff came. Now we know why.
Well, I took over the last stretch asking Jay just some questions that came to my mind. But hey, that's why we love Mondays. We got Jay's brain to pick. We're running short on time, so Jay, just hit us with the sponsors one more time, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah. Iroquois Federal is our title sponsor. Got to hit up Bob. Got to hit Mark McHale, Ryan, and also Brenda Crane, Kyle Lewis, Kyle at IPGINS.com. Say you want the layman rate. Jay's right. You want Kyle Lewis to give you auto, home, life, habitational. Long Branch Steakhouse. Donnie took off, but man, check out Long Branch Steakhouse Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 9 p.m. Before I take off, though, I do want to talk about this Ohio State game. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. It's okay, man. That's why we're co-hosts, right? Hello, right, Kyle? So I'm watching the Ohio State game with, at Big Ten Network, and we're all watching it. And first of all, there's a couple different interesting things. But you guys realize that on the last 2 plays of the game, Notre Dame had 10 guys. How does it feel to be that guy? You work on Friday afternoon. Okay, goal line, get in there. Everybody in, 11 guys, yeah. Hey, short yardage, get in there. Okay, 11 guys. Nickel, get in there. Okay, we got 11 guys. In the game that could probably cost you a national championship if you wanted a national championship, you were the one guy who's sitting on the sidelines watching goal line play, and you're supposed to be out there. I'm like, dude.
Whose fault is that? It's easy to sit there and say, how could the defensive coordinator allow that to happen? Is it as simple as that, or is it somebody in a goal line package that should know they should be out there?
So there's a lot of things going on. The coordinator is there's coaches that will say, goal line up or punt team up, and they're in charge of counting. Usually that's not the coordinator. Usually they're calling the defense or talking on the headset. Usually it's someone else. What I think may have happened, which can happen, is a guy gets hurt. Okay?
Right.
He's hurt. You tell the guy on base defense, hey, such and such is hurt. You're up. Okay. Well, but now on goal line, the guy on base defense has to take the guy that was hurt's position on goal line. And then the game of telephone never got to that defensive tackle, defensive end. And even I said, when I saw the play before it even ran, before anybody said, I said, well, you need to run it to the left. They're totally overloaded to the defensive left. You need to run to the offensive left, the opposite side. And the reason I said that was not because I saw there was 10 guys. It was like just formationally. It wasn't right. So it probably was an honest mistake like that. Somebody gets dinged up. They don't go in. But, man, what a drive by Kyle McCord and that team to get down there. Ohio State, every time you play Ohio State, it's like they're just hard to kill. It's just like you give them both 2 minutes, they're going to find a way to get down to the end zone. So I think that was a big win for the Big Ten. Michigan has not looked impressive. I think their soft schedule has really hurt them early on as far as development as a team. They've gotten going as the years have gone past the last 2 years, but they have not looked overly impressive. I think Rutgers looks better than what people think. I think Taulia Tagovailoa, one of the best throwing quarterbacks, usually what Tua has done, one of the best throwing quarterbacks in Maryland. Maryland could get to 8 wins this year. I don't see them winning the West. I still think Penn State is my pick to win the conference. I've been saying that. Nothing has changed about that. And I think Indiana is Indiana. So I think we've touched on almost every team there. Wanted to give you that one for free.
Jay, even working overtime. We appreciate it as always. Big one coming up on Saturday in West Lafayette, and we look forward to next Monday breaking it all down with Jay. Jay, thanks as always, man.
Take care, guys.
All right, when we come back, we will have Luke Altmaier, your Illini quarterback, threw for 300-plus on Saturday, get his thoughts about a bounce-back showing against FAU. Saw the phone ringing just a moment ago. Hopefully he calls back, and we'll get him on the line. Stick with us. This is The Drive.
Busey Bank, leading the way to your financial wellness. No matter where your financial journey begins, Pathways banking options at Busey are designed with your goals in mind. Busey Bank, building strong financial futures, one family, one street, one city at a time. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Build strength and endurance in a high-energy, fun fitness class with the Urbana Park District. Work It, Circuit runs Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Phillips Recreation Center. Classes are between 5 and 5:50, October 24th through December 14th. Each session takes you through a full-body workout with a mix of resistance training and high-energy aerobics. No experience is necessary, and people of all abilities are welcome. Instructors can modify the class to meet your needs. For details, visit urbanaparks.org.
Welcome to Sarah Champagne, home of their award-winning Honda dealership, a double recipient of the prestigious Honda President's Award. With a legacy of excellence, they offer you the finest selection of Honda vehicles backed by unparalleled customer service. As a two-time winner, they're committed to exceeding your expectations. Visit them today at Route 45 at Burwa or Sarah, S-E-R-R-A, Champagne.com. Sarah Champagne, home of Honda, BMW, Subaru, Buick, and GMC. That's sarahchampagne.com.
As the summer temperatures rise, make sure your energy bills stay low. Call Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing to upgrade to a high-efficiency Lennox air conditioner. Dogtown offers financing, including 0% no interest for qualifying customers. And if you have rooms in your house that don't seem to stay cool, call and ask about the great rebates on the Daikin Douglas mini splits. Call Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing at 217-841-4728. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny. Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over!
I didn't come here to go 5 and 7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now. I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Smack dogs.
Thunderstruck!
It is The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Kyle Toss. Great stuff from Jay Lehman. He brings it every week, and we're very fortunate to have that type of analysis and entertainment on our radio station each and every week. We're also at the benefit of having the Illini starting quarterback every week as well. Luke Altmaier. The segment is brought to you by Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. First Federal Savings Bank, local and trusted. Crossroads Contractor Supply, the right tools when you need it. And Brian Hansen at State Farm Insurance. Visit brianismyguy.com. And also by Carpenters Local 243. Joining us now on the Tapman's Towing phone line, Luke Altmaier. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining us as always.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's got to feel better on a Monday. Last week, obviously coming off a tough one against Penn State, you put up 300+. You take care of the football. How'd you feel about what you showed and what led into you having a really nice bounce-back performance?
Yeah, certainly a better feeling. This Monday than last for sure. But, yeah, like you said, last week was a difficult one to kind of to bury and put behind, but I use that game as a learning experience, and in so many ways, and it was very painful, but I had a lot of great people around me to help encourage and propel me forward in a lot of different areas, and it was good to get back on the field and get back in the win column. Obviously, there's so much more that we can do to be better, and I'm so excited about that aspect of it, and I think our best is ahead of us.
Luke, I did kind of want to dive in a little bit on that, on your process last week. Just you mentioned there you got some good people around you as far as support, and it's not like it wasn't the season last week, it was just one game, but how did you approach that? How long did you allow yourself to use that as motivation or to look back at it? Did you move on fairly quickly at some point? Like, what did you do throughout the week that got your mind right and allowed you to play as good a football as you did on Saturday?
Yeah, kind of approached it in a lot of different ways. It was I think more painful than anything, because it was a game that, that I'd looked forward to ever since, I decided to come here. And I think this team, had the same feeling as well. We had that one circled on our calendar, certainly. And to kind of have that outcome is obviously something that, I didn't want and the team didn't want. I took a lot of ownership of it, obviously. And it was a very painful experience. It was. And, I found out a lot about myself, kind of the following days after and, throughout last week. And, I couldn't have done it and couldn't have worked through that without so many great people around me. One of the reasons I chose to come here was because of the beliefs that, Coach B and, the type of people that, I go to work with every single day and, uplift me and, when I'm down and, encourage me in so many different ways, and had a lot of great people around me to help me gain perspective in a lot of different areas. But at the end of the day, I had to make a decision to get up off the mat and move forward and put one foot in front of the other, and because the next Saturday was coming regardless. And like I said, I was so excited just to get back on the field, and I thought I approached the week well and a little bit differently, and mentally and emotionally, spiritually, and I got a lot better physically because of it.
Luke, you guys got off to a little bit of a slow start. That trick play, you end up hitting Griffin Moore on that wheel route on the sideline, really got you guys going for your first touchdown of the game. Just how did you see that play out? I know there was also a post. Was that your first read, and you worked it to Griffin Moore as well? And just kind of take me through what goes into maybe installing something like that, and then how it plays out on a Saturday to be able to hit that throw.
Yeah, obviously got off to a slow start, having to score this first quarter, not something that we envisioned nor that we want. I know we will get better from it. I do. I think at the end of the day, we're beating ourselves with different things, whether it's penalties or turnovers or just mental errors that we know as we keep playing together that it'll only get better. It's a really confident and talented group, but on that play, it was definitely unique and kind of a special play that we've had, and Coach Lunny has kind of created and had for a long time, and we've practiced it since fall camp, and we're just kind of waiting for the right moment to use it. But breaking it down, kind of like a flea flicker type play, and kind of you have that post route and kind of the wheel route too to kind of try to get behind the defense, and the kind of the run action with the flea flicker kind of sells itself. Everybody sees it and kind of thinks run, and kind of crashes down hard to try to stop that aspect of it. But I kind of just had to buy a little time there to kind of find one of the two, because like you said, both of them were open, and you kind of go to the post route first and then to the wheel route there with Griffin. And it happened to be where I was in a position where I couldn't really get to the post. I had a evaded defender, and luckily Griffin found his way behind the defense there, and I was able to find him for a big one.
Luke, it seemed like you guys did take a step forward offensively on Saturday, over 500 yards, but you mentioned there still some self-inflicted wounds. Seemed like you left some points on the board there. Obviously only 23, could have been 30 if Caden Fagan got into the end zone there at the end. But how close do you think you guys are as an offense now through a third of the season, heading into Big Ten play? Do you feel like you're close to a breakthrough and that next step is just ahead of you guys?
Yeah, I really do. Like you said, this is kind of a game where, at the end of the day, we kind of stopped ourselves in a lot of ways. And I think throughout the first four games, we've had moments where, we were right there on the cusp of, really being, putting up a lot more points. I think, having drives where we get down there in the red zone or close to it, and, whether it's getting stopped on a fourth down or whatever it may be, we're in position to make plays, and we just have to sustain those drives. That starts with me and my part, and as I learn and go through my first kind of real season, I'll get so much better at. But we believe we're right there. We really do. And like I said, we were in position to have more points than we did last Saturday, and had a penalty take off a touchdown off the board, and kind of there at the end we had an opportunity to put 7 more up. It should have been a 35-point plus game, and but there's areas that we have to clean up that first drive. Not first drive, but first quarter. Certainly not having any points. We want to have an emphasis on starting fast as we move forward.
Luke Altmaier is our guest on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Luke, you look at Isaiah Williams' stats through 4 games. Jay mentioned it in the first hour for us, that leads the Big Ten in receptions, and 8 catches for 120 yards for him on Saturday against FAU. Came down with a huge one, contested catch. We know that quarterback and wide receiver, that relationship, especially for a number one, is really important. How have you guys gone about building that to where it's been so good for you guys through the first stretch of this season? You obviously being a newcomer here, how have you seen that play out to where you've got good chemistry and obviously the production is coming through there?
Yeah, I think certainly we've worked really hard throughout this all season, and throughout my first year of me being here. Started in the winter and spring, and then on the summer and fall camp, and to get ready for these 12 opportunities. And he's been such a great leader for this team and for me, and helping me get comfortable with this offense, and learning about his skill set and what I need to do to get him the ball in space. And I think that's just the thing, is finding ways to let him touch the ball. And he's so dynamic in space, and such a great route runner, and obviously has a ton of speed, and can make those contested catches where at the end of the day I just have to distribute the ball to him, whether that's down the field or a little smoke route or whatever it may be. He's a special player. I think we all know that, and like I said, he's a great leader, and it's awesome when one of your best players, if not the best player on our squad, is the hardest worker. So I'm looking forward to really growing that relationship more on the field and seeing a lot more production there.
Luke, we saw the run game get going, especially there in the second half. You were able to win. FAU cuts it to 6. You guys' last drive, able to run it out, and like Kyle said, Caden Fagan could have went in the end zone and made the heady move to fall down there. But what did you see as the quarterback, and that your run game was able to get going? What led to that success in the second half, and is that something maybe you can ride into next week in terms of momentum?
Yeah, I think Coach B has said to us all week that we really want to establish our identity and being a really physical football team. Moving forward in all aspects of our offense, but I think it's really important that we get that run game going. It helps us, helps me in the pass game, and helps everybody within our offense. And we had four backs really impact the game this week in a lot of different ways, and I think that was part of it. But I think a lot of it is just we just kept chipping away. Obviously we want to start faster and creating a lot more explosive plays in the run game. But I'm glad we found some success there in the second half, and it's good to kind of see what we did there, and be able to learn from it, and use that moving forward to create those explosive plays for us, and understand what we need to do to be able to ride that wave.
Brett Bielema mentioned post-game about how he called you last Saturday after the Penn State game just to kind of reassure you that you're the starting quarterback and give you some confidence there. What does that mean for you to get a call like that from him, and how has your relationship with him and really all the coaches been able to develop here over these early weeks?
Yeah, it was a big deal. Like I said, one reason why I chose to come here was one thing I was looking for in a school and a destination that I wanted to go to was a place where had great people that that would help me in different areas of my life, other than football. And like I said, throughout this week, that really came into fruition the way a lot of people encouraged me and uplifted me. But, that kind of started with Coach B after that game. Obviously a very painful 24 hours after that game, and even more than that. But, with that phone call with Coach B and the way he encouraged me and uplifted me and told me that, he had my back and assured me of a lot of things, it meant a lot, but at the end of the day, I kind of had to get up off the mat myself, and, make that decision. But for him to, kind of, assist me, uplift me, encourage me, and believe in me, was, it really wasn't surprising because the way he approaches, our team and life and his work every single day, we see it in him. But for him to call me after a very, very tough one, not only for our team and our players, but I'm sure it was for him too, and it meant a lot, obviously. A
few more minutes. Luke Altmaier on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Purdue is this week. It's one that fans have had circled for quite a while. Ryan Walters was the DC last year in Champaign, and a game that's got a cannon on the line. As someone that's a newcomer to the program, I know you've been here long enough now to probably feel like this is obviously home for you, but do you know much about the rivalry dynamic, and what do you think about this game coming up against the Boilers?
Yeah, obviously I'm not as in tune to it as a lot of people here in this program, just because I'm not very familiar with it. But I've heard a whole lot about it, about their experiences in the past, and kind of the tradition of the game, and even on top of that, the familiarity with their coach and staff there at Purdue, and how it ties into this Illinois team's past. And obviously I wasn't around, but you can tell there's a different level of attention on this game. Like I said earlier, we had Penn State kind of circled, but before the season, but I think this one was circled too for our team as well, and Purdue, and for a lot of reasons. Like I said, the familiarity, and a trophy game for us, and our first Big Ten West game too is we want to get in that W column in the Big Ten West, starting off, and it'll be a fun environment to go to, and I know it'll be a lot of fun for our players and this coaching staff, and all I want to do is lead my team to that victory however I can, and play hard, and play fast as an offense, and put up a lot of points, and so it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I know this team is as well.
Last one for you, Luke. You've mentioned that, like you said, going into the Big Ten West for the first time. Still a lot of football to be played. You guys are 2-2. Probably don't feel like you've played your best football yet. How do you feel like the confidence is in the locker room, and what you guys still feel like is on the table for this team as you guys push forward?
Yeah, I think we've been battle tested early in the season. We faced a lot of great teams so far, and credit those teams for doing what they can to try to limit us from what we can do. But like I said, I think it's us that's holding us back in a lot of ways. There's plays out there to be made, and from my position and how I can be better. But as an offense as well, as kind of all 11 of us getting on the same page to really propel us moving forward. We know that's there because we see it on film. We see the plays that's there to be made, and it's just, at the end of the day, it's all about 11 guys out there doing their job. Coach Lunny schemes it up for us really, really nice every single week, puts us in great positions to be successful. But at the end of the day, it's about those 11 on the field and what they can do with with a play call or whatever. But and that starts with me, and as I learn and go forward, my confidence grows and grows, and the game slows down for me, and I know I'll I think and I know my best is ahead of me, and I think the confidence and the belief and that the offense has and what we can do is really firmly intact, and we're looking forward to really displaying that.
Luke, appreciate the time and insight. congrats on a strong bounce back against FAU, and best of luck going into this Saturday against Purdue.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Luke Altmaier. This segment brought to you by, again, Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. First Federal Savings Bank, local and trusted. Crossroads Contract Supply, the right tools when you need it. Brian Hansen at State Farm Insurance. Visit brianismyguy.com, and by Carpenters Local 243. Good stuff from Luke Altmaier.
That was good stuff. There's some really good stuff in there, and it was just awesome to see. Obviously, going against Florida Atlantic, and you want to see what he can do in Big Ten play against some of these bigger opponents, but just to see the response from him to go for 300 yards, to be really efficient, to air it out down the field a few times. I know there was a couple throws that he missed, but I think the biggest thing to me is that he just came out there and looked like the same confident, poised guy. Nothing affected him. It didn't stop him from being aggressive at that Penn State performance, and so I was impressed with what I saw from him on Saturday.
Yeah, making that kind of throw. Now, he missed Isaiah a couple times
for sure
for some big shots, but Isaiah making that contested throw, that's the type of, number one, having the trust in your number one receiver and a quarterback that still trusts his arm and his ability to make plays, even though he had 4 picks. That we wondered, I wouldn't say worried, just wondered, how would he be gun shy? How would he approach that for someone who doesn't have a lot of collegiate games under his belt? I thought all in all, the stat line spoke for a really nice bounce-back game.
Yeah, and I thought he protected the football really well, too. Obviously, he had that fumble there, which I think probably can share blame between the protection and maybe him trying to getting the ball out a little quicker. But I thought, he threw the ball 36 times, and there wasn't one that was thrown into traffic or that was in danger of being intercepted. I thought you wanted to see him really clean things up after 7 interceptions in 3 games. And I thought, yeah, he missed a couple, but he also played a really clean game, and I think that's super encouraging heading into a game on Saturday that could be high scoring against the Boilermakers.
Going to catch another break. On the other side, we'll talk a little bit about Kyle and I's thoughts on the Illinois FAU game, as well as looking forward to Purdue. And on that note, Brett Bielema met with the media today. Want to get you that before we get out of here. Stick with us. This is The Drive.
The Champaign Park District has some terrific fall events to jot down on your day planner. Flannel Fest will be in downtown Champaign in Westside Park from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. October 14th and 15th with music, a mustache contest, and lumberjack show. The Great Pumpkin Hunt has you looking for small painted rocks in area parks throughout the month of October. On Wednesday, October 25th at Marketplace Mall between 5 and 7 p.m., enjoy the free Halloween Fun Fest. Learn more at ChampaignParks.com.
Fighting Illini football is back in Champaign as they take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers in Memorial Stadium Friday night, October 6th at 7 p.m. It's our Celebrate Food and Ag game. Bring the family for a special petting zoo area inside Grange Grove with animals to interact with Illini fans and kids. See you at Memorial Stadium for Fighting Illini football's Big Ten matchup against Nebraska. Friday night under the lights on October 6th. Get tickets at fightingillini.com.
I've got to clean out this garage. Let's see. What's the cheapest and easiest dumpster service in our area?
Here's what I found. The doggy bag.
Think she's broken. I'm not looking for takeout. Siri, try again.
The doggy bag from Bulldog Disposal in Mahomet.
Doggy bag? What's that?
If you got junk that needs to go, but you don't want the hassle of having an enormous dumpster delivered, grab a doggy bag, keep it as long as you need. They'll come take it away. For more information, just visit bulldoggybag.com.
That's bulldoggybag.com.
Local, personal, trusted. Hi, this is Atah Durakan with First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana, and we've been serving Champaign County since 1908. Our institution is safe, strong, and stable. We operate on a foundation of responsible and sound practices, and you can rest easy knowing we're your bank. Rated 5-star superior by Bauer Financial Inc., fast, friendly, and local, with local loan decisions and underwriting. If you're not already banking with us, give us a try, and we think you'll love it here. First Federal Savings Bank, 356bank.com, member FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS 435120.
Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights, we switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, the Brian Hansen State Farm Agency right here in Champaign-Urbana can switch you over and you can start saving today. Our team is ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. With the Brian Hansen State Farm Agency, it's easy to switch and save. Just give our team a call at 217-344-1900 when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Sit back and relax and take the drive with Lante and Derek Piper. Weekdays 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Rolling along here on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Before we get to Brett Bielema, Kyle, let's share a little bit of our thoughts coming off of Saturday. Now, I think the bottom line to a lot of what you're going to come away with from Illinois, if you take a big picture type of look around especially the Big Ten West, is that there's still a lot of teams in this division, pretty much all of them, that you feel like you can beat. Now, Wisconsin was pretty impressive against Purdue, especially offensively. But let's still, from my vantage point, I still come back to kind of the expectation of what I thought Illinois would be. Now, at the outset, going into the season, I said 6 or 7 wins. And I think that is still probably where I would land, although I'd lean more towards 6. It's just disappointing. I feel like every game, if you look at it individually, has been, in comparison to expectations, disappointing or just a flat-out underachievement. I know I'm a betting guy. I look at spreads. Look at point spreads. Like, you go against Toledo. I think you were a 6 or 7 point favorite. You obviously could have lost the game. You won it closely.
I think you were like a 9.5 point favorite.
Maybe it's actually more than that. That would actually sound more right for a Big Ten versus a MAC team. The Kansas game, it was like a 3-point spread. You were down like 30 after the third quarter. Penn State, I believe that was 14.5. You lost by what? 30 to 13, 17.
But was it really that close?
No, it wasn't that close. And then this past week, you're a 15-point home favorite against a team missing their starting quarterback, missing their running back, missing teeth, and you're down 10-0 off the bat, and it's like, here we go again. This has been really uninspiring football for Illinois. It's disappointing. Not saying the season's over, not saying that Illinois can't win games in just a putrid Big Ten West, but just telling it like it is, it's been pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it has, and I think this was the spot where you really wanted to get that encouragement going into Big Ten play, even if it was fake or whatever it was. If you just got that 38-10 victory where you didn't have to sweat it all, the offense was clicking, you could run the ball all over a team from the Conference USA, or I guess they're in the American now, aren't they? But regardless, a lower level opponent, a team that you should have been far more physical than. The offensive line should not be struggling against Florida Atlantic, and they are. Again, that's just really frustrating. You do get the run game going late, but you couldn't run the ball in the first half. Like you mentioned, you go down 10-0, and it's just, it's a team that, as Jay chronicled there in the first hour, continues to get off to these slow starts where they're just completely out of sorts out of the gate. Ever since that first drive against Toledo, the first quarters have been just disastrous in every game. I mean, it looks like a team that hasn't been ready to play, and now they've made adjustments in a lot of these games to at least make, to get a lot better as the game goes on. But it's just, to have that type of performance. I know they could have won by more. They probably should have put it away multiple times, but they didn't because they continued to shoot themselves in the foot. These personal foul penalties. I mean, we thought we maybe got that cleaned up against Penn State, and then you have 3 personal fouls. You get penalized like 7 times in this game. You fumble twice. It's a team that just doesn't look very inspiring at all. Neither does a lot of these other teams, but in terms of just looking at yourself and looking at Illinois and the team that we've seen through 4 weeks, it's not one that gives me a ton of confidence going into each game the rest of the way. I need to see some major improvements there, and I think there were some bright spots late in that game, but it's just, you should have been doing that for 4 quarters against Florida Atlantic. So I find it hard to take a ton of, encouragement away from a couple little things that happened in the third and fourth quarter of a game, in a game that was way too uncomfortable than it should have been.
Yeah, you can't use the schedule as an argument for that past Saturday. I get it. Toledo's a solid team. They're still from the MAC. Come on. Like, they're a MAC football team, albeit a decent one. To scale, like in the MAC, they're pretty good. But I'll give you Kansas. Kansas, tough matchup. Shouldn't get blown out. If you're going to be a team that could win the West, you're not going to lose by 30 points on the road at Kansas. And then Penn State, the offense was really, really lackluster. I give the defense a round of applause for hanging in there and giving you a chance to win. And then last week it was just uninspiring football. And without being able to hang on late, I feared, like, FAU had 2 timeouts and 4 minutes left, could have got the ball back and went down the field and scored, and you'd lose again. Like,
for a brief moment there when Altmaier threw to Henry Boyer over the middle of the field and they
that
ripped
was
it out.
A dicey throw.
And they were celebrating. I was like, are we going to do this? Is this what's going to happen right now? I mean, to have that even be in your mind late in the fourth quarter of that game is concerning.
Very concerning. Now, context, quick thoughts on Illinois-Purdue, then we'll get to Brett Bielema. We'll obviously have the rest of the week to break this thing down. Purdue didn't stop anybody. They haven't stopped anybody except for Vatek, but Wisconsin pretty much scored at will. Purdue made it interesting with their third quarter rally. They can score in a hurry when they're clicking. I'm afraid, Kyle, at the outset, I'm afraid of a slow offensive start for Illinois for whatever reason, even though this Purdue defense stinks. And Hudson Card and company having a lot of success through the air. You could find yourself down by a couple of scores early on, and I don't feel entirely confident about this team playing catch up on the road against a very competent passing attack, and I don't trust the secondary all that much. I'm not saying Illinois is going to lose. That's just my initial thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, the key is going to be you have to start fast in this game. You can't be trailing. You can't have a disastrous first quarter where you're down 2 scores. That goes without saying for almost every Big Ten game going forward. But I still feel pretty decent about this matchup. Having watched Purdue a little bit, I got to see some of their game against Wisconsin on Friday night, and just they look even more uninspiring than Illinois. Like, truly, I think it's a situation where their defense can't stop anybody. I mean, they have a bit, and Ryan Walters, much like he did at Illinois, has some rebuilding to do with that defense, and he's got to change something up because Wisconsin got whatever they wanted pretty much on their defense. Fresno State got whatever they wanted. Syracuse got whatever they wanted. If there's a game, and I asked Luke the question about how close are you to that breakthrough offensively, this is the matchup to do it, and I think that they can do it. I am encouraged by the fact that they were finally able to run the ball effectively in the second half. I think this is a game where they absolutely should be able to run the ball. I think Barry Lunney is going to involve Luke's legs in this game. I just have confidence with as horrible as this Purdue defense has looked so far that the offense is going to finally get going, and I think that they're going to get off to a better start than they have. I just can't see a situation where it's as disastrous as like the Kansas first quarter and the Florida Atlantic first quarter is. If they cannot be playing from behind, like you said, I think that they'll be in better position to control the game and ultimately pull away because I trust Illinois' defense. And Illinois' defense hasn't been super inspiring. It's been better these last couple weeks. Purdue's defense looks awful. And I think if Illinois can just get off to a better start, string a couple drives together, get off the field a couple times defensively early in the game, then if you're right with them there, I think Illinois is going to be in much better position to kind of take control late. But it's not to say I'm super confident going to West Lafayette. I do, in the back of my mind, think about the familiarity factor there of Ryan Walters. Obviously, his one, as soon as the schedule came out, Illinois was the one that he circled. And he's very familiar with a lot of these players and with what Aaron Henry's going to do. That's in the back of my mind, but I think this Purdue team has looked even. If you're a Purdue fan, you're feeling worse than Illinois. The Purdue radio show going on in West Lafayette right now is saying even worse things than we're saying right now. So that's what I think Illinois can win this game. But yeah, it goes without saying you can't put yourself in the hole you've put yourself in these first 4 weeks early.
Yeah, that's well said. We'll have the rest of the week to break this thing down. Brett Bielema spoke today with the media to reflect on the win against Florida Atlantic on Saturday and look ahead to facing his old buddy Ryan Walters and company in West Lafayette. Here is your Illini head coach, Brett Bielema.
Got done with the game on Sunday and recognized several players, especially on offense. Gave a lot of credit to our running back room, just those 4 guys in general. The the way the game kind of played out. We talked about establishing identity and playing with some physicality, and Reggie was the first off the bench, then Josh. Obviously, I think the way the order went, Caden was the next one in, and then Aiden, but I thought all four of those guys affected the game, and to have that kind of come through was really, really good. I did think Luke, in retrospect, looking at the game film, I liked the way he handled and managed. There was a couple things that he created on his own. Really, the big play to Caleb, or to Griffin Moore, he was there and had to extend the play a little bit and made it happen. And then one of the first touchdowns where he kind of made it happen with his feet was pretty impressive. And then also Isaiah Williams, just another good example. When that guy touches the ball, he not only excites the crowd base, he ignites our players as well. And when he plays well, we play well. So excited to see that. And then defensively, there were a lot of really positive things. I thought Keith Randolph probably played one of his best games. Now, this group did have a plan for Johnny. They were doing a lot of things that were drawing attention to him, which when that happens, especially as an interior D lineman, that's got to free up other guys. So hopefully that is something that continues. I know it gets frustrating for Johnny, but it can be rewarding for others. And then a guy, Kanena Adelaga, just is a guy, again, that has just kind of silently done his business, has continued to play really well. But I think between Tariq, Dylan Rosiak, and Kanena, and now you throw Josh Kreutz in there a little bit, those four guys at the inside backer position are very, very unique. All of them kind of have a different skill set, but fun to watch that group continue to grow. So, and then just the way the game played out, Taz was out after the first half. T. Strain rolls his ankle. Forced a lot of those young freshmen into action. I thought they handled it very, very well. So we put the game behind us pretty quickly on Sunday. Obviously did enough things to correct and review offense, defense, and special teams, but jumped into our Purdue preparation, actually shortened our review time and extended our preparation time on Sunday. Today we'll have the day off, but our guys I know are chomping at the bit to get back into really an 8-week window here, 4 weeks in a row, then a bye week, then 4 weeks in a row. Both segments have 2 home games and 2 away games for us in Big Ten play, so to get this opportunity to go on the road and play the defending Big Ten West champs, I think is something that they're excited about. Give a lot of credit to Purdue. The last 2 years we haven't come out on top in a trophy game. It's something that I think our guys have talked about for a long time, so excited for the opportunity this week. Health-wise, I think everybody, for the most part, should be with us. Reggie and T. Strain, who had kind of lower leg injuries, weren't as significant as we may have thought at first. And those guys, if they don't practice tomorrow, should be fully engaged with us on Wednesday. Taz really was just a day issue. Taz had pretty significant sickness. He didn't practice Thursday or Friday, had over 100-degree temp, kind of that had been floating around us a little bit, and that kind of steamwheeled on him on Saturday. So wouldn't expect any problems or issues back with him. So other than that, I think we should be full strength for Saturday.
How does familiarity between the two staffs, schemes, play a role?
Yeah, again, I tell Josh all the time he's getting a bargain with me at 53. I've been through a couple of these. My first D coordinator job, I was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, but I had been on the Iowa staff with Kirk and that whole entire defense staff. Phil Parker and I were on the original staff with Kirk going back to the day. So I've done a lot of these crossover moments, and then obviously when I became the head coach, some commonalities of coaches you've been around, played around. I remember when I was at Wisconsin as a head coach, we faced Mike Hankwitz, who was the defensive coordinator for me, and he went on to become D coordinator at Northwestern. So there's a lot of these times where you have familiarity. This is an easy one just because Ryan was here last year and a couple guys on their staff. But I think these are things that come up more than you probably think from the outside world. We've been really talking about this game from last year's season in to where we are, because we knew it was going to be the first Big Ten West opponent of the year, and it was going to be the beginning of an 8-week window of all conference play. So I think that's the bigger issue, maybe so than who's on their staff.
Really complimentary Nicario Harper, just to maybe his
Nicario
Harper in terms of his development, probably personal growth.
Yeah.
What would you see out of him, and what can he add to you guys?
I say this all the time. Everything adds together, right? 2 + 2 = 4. So doesn't 3 + 1 or 6 - 4. 6 - 2 is 4, right? Like you can get to different numbers easily. Nicario Harper, we had an academic meeting every Thursday, and he had 2 A's in the classes that he was in. He's a grad transfer guy, right? And I walked up to him on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week because I knew he was going to be his first start. And I said, 2 A's, huh? And he looked at me and he goes, what do you mean? I go, you got 2 A's going in grad classes. I go, when was the last time he had 2 A's in grad classes? And he just smiled. He goes, I've never had 2 A's, coach. And I'm like, I go, it's the same reason I think you'll have success on Saturday, right? Like he just has learned how we do things here. There was a point last spring where I got to have an academic meeting. It wasn't really as pleasant as that. And I kind of said, listen, this is how we do things. And if you buy into this and follow it, you'll be rewarded forever. And he's been doing that. I thought he played with incredible poise. Really the week before, he made a play on a tight end route that really jumped out to me that I'm like, okay, he's listening, and, he's got incredible talent. Early in his career, he was very, very well thought of at a couple other places he had been athletically, physically, and be able. I wish I had him for 2 or 3 years because I really think his potential is pretty high.
There doesn't appear to be any clear-cut favorite in the Big Ten West. Have you talked to the team about the opportunity they have to maybe to win the division, or is it one game at a time?
Yeah, again, we've known each other going on 3 years now, right? Like we focus on the task at hand. We always talk big picture items, in general, but I think, like I said at the beginning of the press conference, we've been talking about this for a while because it was our first opponent in the Big Ten West that we were going to play. It's the first in a little run here. Obviously, we come back, play Nebraska, then Maryland, even though they're in the other division, a pivotal game, and then to come back and have Wisconsin. So 3 of the next 4 are Big Ten West. So if you try to jump to one before the other, it's never going to work.
Played a lot of your younger guys the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. What have you learned about your couple of recruiting classes?
Yeah, we kind of actually had that conversation this morning, Monday. We'd like to kind of take a big picture look on Mondays, and we listed several guys on both sides of the ball, offense, defense, and then special teams. Our 2 best special teams players right now are probably Jaheim Clark and Josh Kreutz. James Kreutz. And it's just those guys get contagious, and then you saw James make a couple plays on Saturday on defense as well. Like usually players break into their mold, especially defensive players on special teams units. But I couldn't be happier to get Caden Fagan and Aiden Lawfrey involved in the game plan, and to see Aiden score. I literally, I felt that coming for a while, and then I literally can't even imagine what was going through Caden Fagan to see that end zone right there and to see uninterrupted, but to way to win that game. Once we took a knee, that basically sealed the victory, barring any center QB exchanges. But like we knew that was we put ourselves in grind to get down, and for him to execute that in that moment says a lot about him.
For that, with the field goal that you guys left a couple seconds on earlier in the season, just in case there was a bad exchange.
Yep.
What's the balance for understanding maybe a bad exchange could happen?
Well, a bad exchange between a quarterback and a center is completely different than a kicker. But at that point, when they took over, when we got a first down and they still had 2 timeouts, I knew the number we needed to get to make the game on a win. And when we stopped, I believe it was 2nd and 5, they had 1 timeout. That's when I know what it was. It was the play before Josh McCray went out. We told Josh if he got a first down, he could grind a get down. And then, so Josh, I knew it because Thad and I had a conversation. And then Josh went down after that first down carry, and we put Caden Fagan in, and obviously everybody's probably, hey, it's this big moment, 4-point play, and I said, does he know grind a get down, which means if he gets a first down, if he takes a knee, we win the game. And they were letting him score, right, because they knew the situation. They knew they couldn't win the game anymore, so they were trying to let him score. And I think when that safety came up and kind of did one of those passerbys, and he knew enough to get down. Somebody pointed out to me that the social media was having a fun thing that we should have scored there. And I've seen teams score in that situation. Literally within our conference here in the last couple of weeks, there's been some teams that score at the end of the game, which puts you at risk. The only way we could lose that game was by scoring, because if we scored and we kick off, they score, and they got an onside, they get 2 scores, they could still win. And most people don't see that, but I understand it, and that's why we did it.
When we asked Aaron about KO, he just mentioned his attitude and his resolve to kind of trust in the building and trust in the process. And that's why he had success on Saturday. Did you kind of see that when you were looking at him, that his attitude and his work ethic was always going to be?
Kanena has been awesome since he's got here. Last year he was kind of a sub-package player for us. He actually played kind of nose in a weird kind of way, what we asked him to do. I just go back to his recruitment. I remember calling Coach Lynch. I think he was committed to an Ivy League school, if I'm not mistaken, and he was going there and tell me about this kid, this coach, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a guy that does everything right. I don't know if he's a linebacker, but I know he's an athlete. He can run. He'll do everything he asks of him. Since that point, everything Coach said has panned out. I don't think we went into Saturday thinking you're going to get 40-plus plays, whatever it was, but it kind of played out that way, and he's just so conscientious, so intelligent. This past summer he went on a mission trip to Africa, and I let those 3 guys that went on that trip came back, and I let them address the team. And Kanena, his background, his family history, and everything that went into it, the way he talked up in front, I was like, okay, this guy's got leadership skills on top of that. He's also now one of our SAC leaders. We recently got to nominate a player for a Big Ten conference committee that's one player from every team, and I nominated him just because I think he represents everything that's right about us.
Well, we evaluated the offensive line.
Yeah.
How can you help them?
Just get better. I think we'll obviously, we're always constantly looking at players that we can plug and play. But Zai and Isaiah, I think for sure on the right side feel that they can get better. I think also Hunter Whiteneck, Jordan Slaughter, between them and maybe Barlev, seeing if they can help us out in a certain capacity. But Julian Pearl played really well over on the left side. Geske probably played again his best performance at this point. So Isaiah Adams really played well at times. There were some things that I know he wants to clean up, but I couldn't be happier about the growth that they made. I know it wasn't in everything that we saw, but there were definitely a lot of things they did well. We just got to get them to be more consistent.
A few times with transfers, you just wish you could have had them for 2
Yeah.
or 3 years. I mean, are there things you can tweak on the recruiting front to find these guys earlier, or are you just always going to miss somebody?
You take Nicario, he's a guy that's from Atlanta originally. We don't really go into Atlanta heavy. It's an overly recruited city, and for us, we couldn't defend number 1 out here for them, right? And he was a blue shirt walk-on at FAU, right? Another good reason why we probably should hit Florida more and more, because they're just pure numbers down there. Either you go into a county in Florida and you can literally kind of go into a certain school and there may be 5 or 6 Division I kids for you to evaluate, and then sometimes in those rural areas you get, and every city's got 1 or 2 guys where so we as a coaches, we really recruit the Midwest. Anybody that touches us, we recruit Florida and Jersey, and the rest of it will have to go through the portal. So I don't think Nicario would pop on our roster. Clayton Bush, again, he's another kid that's from whatever town Western Kentucky's in. I don't think he would have been up on our radar. Some of the Illinois kids that were getting his bounce backs, I think that's for sure happening. We get contacted. We've already been contacted this year with guys that we've recruited during my window of being here the last 2 years that are at places that aren't playing, right? Or maybe they're playing, they're not happy where they're at. So I think that's the stuff that's going to start coming back to us now. We said since we got here, we're going to recruit every kid in the state of Illinois that we feel can help us win a championship. But we didn't win all those recruiting battles, right? So now I think you're going to begin to see kids that are a year or 2 into programs that it maybe wasn't what they thought, and maybe that we're a little bit better than they thought we were going to be. And I think that's when we're going to start getting those dividends.
Last week you were talking about finding identity, finding your strengths. Any more clarity there after another game?
Absolutely. I think anytime especially defensively, I thought, I didn't want to see it, but when we made that defensive stand down there, 4th down, we get a, stop, offense goes out, 1 play turns it over, and we go back out and stop them 4 plays in a row. To hold an offense inside the 15-yard line for 18 plays, or for 8 straight plays without a score, that's something you can hang your hat on. Offensively, I think obviously it didn't start out great. We started out good. We went down the field on a 4th and 2.5. I think we thought it was probably a 4th and 1, so we can definitely get better on what we want to get done there. But the idea was to be aggressive and try to come away with a touchdown on that first one. So that's why we went for it, but we didn't get the first down. So that put us behind a little bit there. But to be down 10-0 to have them respond and the big play hits. Griffin Moore is a guy, I give Barry a lot of credit. Barry's been in love with Griffin Moore since he got here, just to what he brings, the attitude, the skill set. Tip Ryman to hit a big pass play. I think we've been waiting for Tip to kind of break out of that moment. Reggie hit a long run. Josh really ran with purpose. I think Luke, sitting where he was a week ago, to come back and play the way he did and created some things with his feet. I think it's a different demeanor to watch that on film. Special teams, I thought David Alano came in and sent a message about what he can do with his leg. Declan Dooley, I was within a hair of a chin and putting him in. He booted 3 punts in a row last week, over 60 yards. So, a guy that really has been impressive and excited for us to see. So there's some things you see, but there's also some things you guys haven't seen that I think are coming.
The hammering, the sawing, the drilling, all the sounds of the workplace are music to our ears. You can be a part of construction projects large and small as a Carpenters Local 243 member. Learn to excel with apprentice and journeyman training. Members enjoy all the benefits this internationally recognized union has to offer. It's a life-changing decision. Join the Local 243 family tradition. Contact Carpenters Local 243 at 217-356-5463.
Welcome to Sarah Champagne, where your dream car awaits. With an exquisite selection of top-tier vehicles, impeccable service, and unbeatable prices, they are your ultimate destination for automotive excellence. Experience luxury, performance, and style like never before. Visit today and drive home in the vehicle you've always desired. Sarah Champagne, Honda, BMW, Subaru, GMC, and Buick. Your journey towards automotive perfection starts here. Visit them at Sarah, S-E-R-R-A, champagne.com.
Norm Miller here, chairman of Interstate Batteries. You know, without batteries, life would be pretty lifeless. That's why Interstate All Battery Centers carry them in every size, shape, and style so you can drive, drill, call, film, or do whatever it is you want to do. Stop in today. They've got the power to keep you going. Interstate All Battery Center. Outrageously dependable.
Interstate All Battery Center. You'll find them outrageously dependable just over Interstate 74 at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign, with batteries for most every application in stock.
Crossroads Contractor Supply specializes in the delivery of tools and supplies within a 150-mile radius of Champaign-Urbana. Reliable, timely, and with reasonable prices, Crossroads Contractor Supply knows what equipment and tools are needed for your job. Their slogan, we have it when you need it. Get the job done right with proper tools and equipment. Did something break? Construction materials as well as safety equipment, all available. Call 402-8123. Visit crossroadscontractorsupplyil.com.
A tradition of excellence over 150 years in the making. At Busey Bank, we're committed to building relationships that span generations. Wherever your journey in life leads you, we are with you along the way, creating a legacy for you and your family. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
As the summer temperatures rise, make sure your energy bills stay low. Call Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing to upgrade to a high-efficiency Lennox air conditioner. Dogtown offers financing, including 0% no interest for qualifying customers. And if you have rooms in your house that don't seem to stay cool, call and ask about the great rebates on the Daikin Douglas mini splits. Call Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing at 217-841-4728. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend.
The hammering, the sawing, the drilling, all the sounds of the workplace are music to our ears. You can be a part of construction projects large and small as a Carpenters Local 243 member. Learn to excel with apprentice and journeyman training. Members enjoy all the benefits this internationally recognized union has to offer. It's a life-changing decision. Join the Local 243 family tradition. Contact Carpenters Local 243 at 217-356-5463.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday mornings 7 to 9, here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Finishing up here on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Kyle Tosk. Pretty good Saturday of college football. Now, I know that Iowa-Penn State was a blowout. Thank you to Iowa for not scoring because I needed the under.
76 yards for Iowa.
Was that it?
It was 76 or 79 or something along those lines. It was under 80.
Brutal. They were brutal.
At 25 point per game, Brian Ferentz took a big time hit there.
He's toast, man. He's toast. Ohio State Notre Dame was a thriller.
Yeah, well,
low scoring, but what a thrilling game. I felt just a little bit of bad for Notre Dame.
I did too. I mean, they were right there. They had the game. They get that huge 4th and 1 stop in the red zone, get the ball back with like 4 minutes left. And all you have to do is run the clock out, and they call a screen pass that falls incomplete that stops the clock and saves Ohio State a timeout, which they then needed when they got an intentional grounding, and then you
Yeah.
get 3rd and 19, and you're playing like soft coverage, and McCord hits Ibuka at the 1-yard line, and then 10 players on the field. What are we doing?
It's brutal.
That's just a terrible way to lose. Notre Dame was right there, and that was a fun environment you could feel.
Incredible environment.
On the TV. I do feel bad. I'm not the biggest Notre Dame fan in the world, but I do feel bad, and I didn't particularly want to see Ohio State get it done. So
the shock in that stadium was very evident, and would have been very, very tough if you're an Irish fan. I know we got to go as well, but I got to also mention the environment at Clemson was also off the charts, and that was a crazy game. Clemson unfortunately
missed the end of that one because I was at Memorial Stadium, but
missed a short field goal. Florida State wins it in overtime. That was just a really fun and high-level game, so appreciate that about college football. I'm not going to talk much about the Bears today. Give me one more day to get over it, and then we'll think
I'll
big
talk
picture
some NFL
about about Kyle's Miami Dolphins and how big of a Super Bowl contender they are. We'll talk a lot more about the NFL that was week 3.